friends, good morning! Welcome back to my channel. I'm Sasha. It's the morning time. I'm still in my pajamas, have not had coffee. So let's all just appreciate any words that come out of my mouth today because they are impressive without coffee. We're doing a book review. This is my second one of the morning. This book I'm going to be talking about was an ARC. I got an advanced reader's copy, words, from the author, which I am so thankful for. Thank you so much. And I requested this book because it was a hockey romance, which is my favorite type of sports romance. I really don't read about any other sports. If it's not a hockey player, right. And also it said there was disability rep in this book, which I was really excited about. I'm trying to intentionally read a lot more disabled stories so I can recommend them to people, and this was this said it was that. So this book is it sucks you in. Oh, it's called Born of Ice. I have it on the screen somewhere. You're seeing it, by Daisy Thorne. Comes out December 6th. I don't know when this video is going up. The book's probably already out. So Born of Ice has two main characters, 2 points of view. Our female main character is a partner figure skater, and she's engaged to her partner. They've been together for a long time. They are on their way to the Olympics. They have a competition coming up, and it's that first competition that drew me into this book immediately. It was like a vacuum sealing me in. It sucked me in so fast, so hard. I was like, oh my god, we're here. I was so anxious reading this chapter that I had to put my hand over my Kindle and just read it line by line, because it doesn't shy away from explaining how our character becomes disabled. It doesn't shy away from her sensory experience of the accident. It doesn't shy away from the gruesome hospital details. It's not gross, I wouldn't say, but as someone who had a career-ending injury when they were 17, I was a dancer, I dislocated my knee, and not just ow, oh no. My kneecap was on the back side of my leg, and they couldn't find it in the hospital. So yeah, it's a story. We could talk about it another time. Anyway, yeah, it was triggering to read, and it was hard to read, but it also immediately made me and the main character like this. I was like, girl, I get it. And her injury was so severe, it paralyzed her from the waist down. So she spends a majority of the book in a wheelchair, obviously no longer able to compete, obviously no longer going to the Olympics. I guess before we get into the portion of the video that's going to have spoilers, I'm going to talk generalizations. The writing in this was good. I liked the pacing of it. I liked the romance. It was I liked the characters as well and the depth that they both had to them. I thought they were funny. There was really good banter, but it was also two extremes. It was really funny, really haha hee hee, but also extremely dark. And there is some shit going on with both of these characters and their mental health, and that's kind of why they're brought together. But it was a great balance of them pecking at each other and trying to get on each other's nerves, and him doing it intentionally just to get a response out of her, versus them actually cracking jokes and getting to know each other and getting to trust each other. So for the characters, the writing, the pacing, the plot overall, all of those things, I really enjoyed this story, and I did really like this book. I think I gave it, oh, I haven't rated it yet. It's in the 4 territory. I don't know if we're gonna give it 4 and more, but it's in the 4 territory for sure. What else can I say that's not a spoiler? I don't know. I think that's like the spoiler-free portion. If you like a hockey romance, if you like broken characters who are shoved together and who heal together with some like bumps in the road because healing is not linear, I think you'll enjoy this story. And definitely check the trigger warnings, because the author does mention, which I really appreciate, that there will be disparaging language against disabled people in the book. And if that trigger warning hadn't been there and I reached those sections of the book, I would have DNF'd and been like, fuck this, you know? Like, I would have been really upset. As someone who is chronically ill and who is disabled, I would have been way more upset. Then I read the trigger warnings, I understood what was coming, and when it came up, it wasn't done maliciously. And that is the reason why, for me as a reader, it worked. I don't know that it will work for other disabled readers who are reading it. I think it's going to depend on your sense of humor, and it might not work for everyone. And I think you need to go into that book knowing that it's there and preparing yourself. Let's dive into the spoilers. So, our main female character is paralyzed. She's in a wheelchair. She's extremely depressed. She has thoughts of unaliving herself, which who wouldn't in that scenario? Like, to go from like months away from being at the Olympics to suddenly like also you can't walk or bathe yourself or do anything. That's a big life update. So I definitely don't blame her for feeling that way. Our male main character has anger issues out the ass. That man is so hair trigger angry all the time, all the things. And he has a pretty good reason for it, which is it unfolds itself as the story progresses. Abusive father, alcoholic father, was tossed around in his childhood. Like, he didn't have a great life growing up, and it definitely affects him into his adult life. His anger does end up getting him suspended from his team, and the only way he can get back on the ice is if he can get this girl to walk. Is he trained to do that? No, but he's so pig-headed, and he's so just like a bull in a china shop that the girls' trainer knows the hockey coach, and she sees him on the ice and is like, if anyone's gonna get her out of this chair and like participating in life again, it's gonna be this kid. So they shove them together into the figure skater's cabin, and they have to learn to live with each other, and they open up to each other, and it's just like a really sort of beautiful friendship is blooming, but they're both very attracted to one another. She believes that because she's in the wheelchair, she's no longer desirable romantically or physically or sexually. So even though she's attracted to him, she's just like, literally nothing's ever gonna happen. And he, at every moment, is like, she's so hot, she's so hot, she's so hot. So it's so funny to switch POVs and have her be like, he's hot, but never gonna happen, and like, woe is me, which valid. Super valid. And then him being like, fuck, like, I have to sleep next to her, and oh my god, and it was, yeah, forced proximity, one bed, all the good things that I like in these stories. My one sticking point, the one thing that I was like, hold up, we said this had disability rep, and for me, this has been an experience where I think I need to reevaluate what disability rep looks like for me in a book. I also think I need to reevaluate, like, when books are marketed, what should disability rep mean? And this is what I mean when I say that. So if we say there's disability rep in a book, to me, it either means the character has a disability from the beginning to the end of the book. They were born with it, they got it before the book started, they are disabled. Other side could mean during the book they become disabled and that they're now disabled, right? That's the disability rep in the book. We see the accident or whatever happens, life, they get a virus, who knows, right? And then they become disabled. What happened in this story, we had the accident, she becomes disabled. There's another accident to the male main character that puts his life in danger, and it's his life in danger that pushes so much adrenaline through her body that she just gets up out of her wheelchair and starts walking to get him, running to get him. And then she makes a comment, the female main character makes a comment that it was all in her head this whole time. I have a big problem with that, and this is just like, we're gonna go on a few different tangents here because there's a few things this brings up. Number one, it's completely feasible that her injury is reversible. The doctor said that in the hospital. They were never like, this is permanent. They were just like, there's a chance it's permanent. But the swelling could have gone down. She broke a bone in her back that pushed into her spinal cord, made her spinal cord swell up, paralyzed. That's how that works most of the time. So if they reposition the bone, put a pin in it, literally, and given time, given the therapy, she's in physical therapy, she stays like as active as she can with her legs, they move them for her, all that stuff. Given time, the spinal cord can reduce, the swelling can go down, the inflammation can go down. So she does like start to get tingling in her legs, like pins and needles. Then she thinks she feels like her pant leg on part of her leg at one point, and it's like all of that leads me to believe that the swelling was going down slowly. So she is slowly gaining sensation back. Everything I know about that kind of spinal cord injury, yes, like that is how that would work. Very slow progress over time. So that leads me to believe that the swelling did go down and that eventually she would be able to walk again, or at least have some sort of control over her legs. For the character to say that it was all in her head when there are physical signs of her feeling coming back is fucked up. It's not all in her head. There's a big portion of this that is mental. Yes. She struggles so much with grappling with her new reality, that she's in this chair, that she has to rely on people. That's a lot of shit to deal with mentally. So I understand there's a component of it being in her head. But for her to say, like, oh, I just couldn't walk because I told myself I couldn't. No, like, that's literally, no, like, you were paralyzed. That was real. You having feeling coming back in your legs, that was real. And so, even when I wrote my review, which I didn't post yet because it's an ARC and an indie author, and I don't want to post, like, a critical review before the book comes out, so I haven't posted it yet, but even then I was like, I just have so many questions. Like, did I misinterpret that phrase? Am I misunderstanding what the author was trying to convey here? Which brings me to point B. Were there sensitivity readers? Were there people who read this book who are either disabled or chronically ill or paralyzed or had a similar injury who read that section and was like, yeah, that's fine? Because I can't imagine, like, maybe there's like a percentage of people who have the qualifications I listed who would be like, yeah, I think that's fine. That's great. We're all different. We all interpret things differently. We all experience things differently. And if they think like, yeah, it was in her head, okay, fine. That's your experience with that situation. I can't imagine, though, a majority of sensitivity readers or other disabled and chronically ill people reading that and being like, yeah, it was all in her head. That's why she couldn't walk this whole time. It was just all in her head. Like, no, it wasn't. And it triggers me so badly because I've experienced doctors when I was a child and in the hospital who have said similar things, and that stays with you forever, and that sucks. And it's so clearly based on the other things written in this book. It's so clear that it's not in her head. That the whole phrase of her saying that, I was just like, you just invalidated her entire experience and her entire injury by saying that. I don't know. And I also understand that when you have an injury and when you have a traumatic experience, like, maybe the character needs some therapy to figure out that, like, it's not all in your head, it wasn't in your head, that did actually happen. Maybe that's the direction it needs to take. Anyway, I think I've spent enough time on this. So, the problem I have is that there's disability rep listed as, like, a selling point for this book, but based on, like, after that point, she's just up. She's out of the chair. She's totally fine. She functions completely normal. She doesn't have any, like, strength loss, really. They talk about some muscle loss, which is normal. But it's like, she's up, she's walking, she's getting dicked down. She's just, like, living her best life as if nothing happened. She starts skating again. Like, sorry, my camera froze for a minute. She starts skating again. She's doing the damn thing. So she goes from in a wheelchair, paralyzed, to completely able-bodied and fine. I guess my question is, can we, when we promote books, include, like, temporarily disabled character if they aren't disabled the entire time? Or am I thinking of it wrong, and is she still considered disabled? Because she does have a pin in her bone, but it's, like, currently not affecting her. But if she ever has another injury or a fall again, boom, back in the chair. Like, chances are that's what would happen. So I don't know how to wrap my mind around this, and this I know for a fact. Well, not a fact, but I'm pretty positive. It's my autistic black and white thinking that I can't let this go. And I'm just so stuck on the fact that we said there's disability rep in this, and then the rest of the book, she's fine. Is that disability rep? Is it good disability rep? Because the parts where she's in the wheelchair and the way that he takes care of her and the way that he is with her emotionally and all of that, great. Loved this book, was so excited to recommend people a book with a paralyzed character. I was like, and it's not that I don't want her to get better. That's the other thing I don't want people to think. I don't want people to think that that healing isn't possible. It obviously is. The thing I'm hung up on, that's me hanging up, okay? The thing I'm hung up on is that I don't know that this is, like, disability rep if she becomes able-bodied for the rest of the book. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like there's so much more I can say, and also I'll just be going in circles at that point. So I want to end on this note. I think sensitivity readers are very important with any subject like this. I don't think every single book needs a sensitivity reader, but I think if you have a subject with diversity, a subject with queer, LGBTQ experiences that are not your own, I think disability, I think anything that is marginalized, anything that is, like, a minority topic, I think those need sensitivity readers, and I think you do yourself a disservice of not having them. Again, maybe this book had them. I went through the acknowledgments twice. I went through the about the author. I went through everything at the end of the book twice to make sure I didn't miss anything. And this book was written based on a movie the author saw years ago with two broken people. She didn't say how they were broken or what broke them. So I don't know what movie it was. I don't know what she's referencing. but it's not like a lived experience as far as I can tell. She didn't mention specifically that any of her beta readers or alpha readers or Facebook group readers or anything like that were sensitivity readers. Ooh, I just think if you're gonna write disabled characters and you yourself are not disabled, or you yourself are not disabled in that way, you need to check in with people who have that experience, who have that lived experience. And obviously one person isn't going to be the end all be all. Like if you have one sensitivity reader and they're like, yeah, that's fine, it doesn't mean that every single disabled person is going to agree with their opinion. So it is a hard line to walk when you write these types of stories, for sure. And I understand that as someone who is chronically ill and is disabled and is a reader and is a writer. I can give some leeway and some concessions to be like, it's tough out there. I get it. And I wouldn't discourage people from reading this book because I really liked it. My literal only problem is I don't know if I consider this a disabled representation. Like, I don't know if I can say that. I don't know. That's my only sticking point. Other than that, great romance, really fun characters. The plot is just really character driven, and it's like they're stuck in this cabin together and then the real world comes back and they have to navigate that. So yeah, I liked this book. I do recommend it, despite me ranting for however many minutes that was. That's my one issue with it, is like, do I consider this disability rep? She's temporarily disabled. That's the best way I can think about saying it. So that's my review. Gosh dang it. Anyway, thanks for watching. I always feel so weird about these rants because they kind of come out of nowhere and then I'm like, oh. Yeah, but that's how I feel. And I'm not like mad at the author. I'm not angry or upset. I'm just like confused, and I have a lot of questions, and I have questions for myself. So about like what does it mean to be disabled? What does it mean to have disability rep in a book? What does that mean for me? I have to figure it out. It's not this book's fault. This book has just opened my eyes that I have more to think about and I have more questions. Anyway, I'm gonna go eat breakfast finally. It's been like an hour of me recording book reviews and I deserve a treat, which is literally just breakfast. See you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Goodbye!